Gordon!
Yes, Commander?
I'm sick of your opinions.
What?
You keep telling me what you think of things, and I hate it!
That is both extremely forward and extremely rude, and I think I might cry now.
No, it's okay. I know how to make it better.
Oh, alright.
I'll just get you to go collect a survey from the hunters.
That sounds like work.
Son, if you want me to like you, it's gonna take a lot of work. Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, today we learn the top 5 hardest monsters in Iceborne according to you and your votes.
It's gonna get a little funky, we're gonna have a graph or two here or there, and I'm gonna talk about a bit more than just the top 5 themselves, so stick around to see how it all works out.
Let me in! Let me in!
If you want to take part in the voting for next week's list, which is the top 5 worst monsters in World/Iceborne, the link is in the description of this very video. And if you want to be the first to vote every single week, then feel free to join the Discord, also in the description. Those that do vote, make sure to leave a comment on this video as to why that is your opinion, and next week I'll even use your comments and explanations to back it all up. So, starting off very clearly, I'm going to show you every single entry on this list and explain the process a little as I scroll through it. I didn't create a single option on this list. I simply posed the question at the top and let the community fill out their own answers, though I did have to moderate it slightly because some of you are dirty fucks and this is an innocent and pure channel. That said, I was more than willing to let you guys decide your own responses as long as it was at least somewhat explainable. Clearly, some of you completely understood the purpose of this exercise. There's a lot of genuinely hard monsters here, and some of you, less so. And as a heads up, after the list I will of course show you the entire filled out graph with everything, so don't worry, you get to see all that juicy information very soon. So without further ado, let's begin with...
Number 5, with 6.58% of the votes. Kushala Daora.
Yeah, alright, this one doesn't surprise me for even a moment, honestly, though to this day I am still actually unsure if, personally, I find him actually difficult or just plain annoying, though you guys seem to believe it is the former according to this placement here as 5th hardest in the game, which is totally fair enough. I mean, he spends 80% of his time in the air spewing out wind that messes with your player movement and your ability to control your character, tornadoes that practically remove an entire part of the zone from existence when they land, making you avoid it like it was never there in the first place, and then when he lands, when he finally does actually land, his wind aura makes it so melee users either have to stand at their absolute maximum range consistently or get interrupted and thrown around, and it isn't enjoyable. And I guess when it comes to quests that have 20-minute timers, like some investigations do, a monster that screws you over so consistently like this one does can absolutely be considered hard.
Number 4, with 7.89% of the votes. Furious Regime.
And this one is sort of interesting to me because he is definitely difficult, but I personally found him easier than even regular Rajang, just for whatever reason. As a hammer user, I found his abilities easier to move around and work around than normal, but that might not be the case for all the hammer users. That said, that is one thing that I do love about this new format, is we in theory won't get lists that are skewed by what weapon people use, because hopefully we have users of all kinds of weapons voting on these. Back on topic then, he is hard. Significantly harder for ranged users than regular Rajang, I would say, from my knowledge base, and his wall flinch laser is definitely more dangerous than his normal just wall flinch slap, so he has a lot more to him for sure, and I don't blame anyone who voted to put him on this list.
Number 3, with 10.96% of the votes.
And that kid with the backpack said radical. I say radical. That's my thing that I say. I feel like I'm gonna explode here. Ugh.
Raging Brachydios.
And this one I do get much more than Furious Rajang, as Raging Brachydios really and truly is a whole other type of experience in this game. His pure size by itself is enough to make it a lot harder with the type of move that he has, but then you add on the overly active slime that makes it genuinely hard to apply constant damage to him, the new moves that are incredibly dangerous, and don't even get me started on that final area. That is just something else, both visually and gameplay wise. The whole area is dangerous, and he is especially dangerous dangerous. In a weird way, I almost feel like the final area is the easiest part of the fight. You know, if it wasn't for the fact that you can't trap him at all in that zone and you can't leave, so there's absolutely no moment to catch your breath unless you die, in which case, you know, it's sort of hard to catch anything, really.
Number 2 with 12.28% of the votes.
I will eat and digest you all with my system of mighty organs. Behold!
Extreme Behemoth.
Wait a minute!
Yeah, hold up a second. Damn, I wasn't expecting this. If this was my personal list, I wouldn't even really count him as an option anymore. He doesn't even have a master rank version, and he's a crossover monster, which already makes it sort of fuzzy for me in the first place. But that said, I guess it really says something what kind of lasting impression he made, that as a high rank monster, a large portion of the community still views him as harder than any of the rest of the monsters in the game who have all gotten master rank upgrades, except for one. That's really crazy to me. That said, it makes sense. I swear, I still have nightmares about that quest at least 3 times a month. It was insane. Between organizing and managing tornado placements, the insane amount of fire and lightning, the tank mechanics, and don't even get me started on the ecliptic meteor itself. In what world can you do an apocalyptic level power attack like this 5 times in one fight, this close together? What sort of power fuels you? Get out of here, you demon dog piece of... Sorry, I got a little carried away there.
Number 1 with 14.04% of the votes.
Fire.
Lunastra.
Who could have seen this coming? Honestly, I feel like even someone who doesn't play Monster Hunter can spend a couple of days browsing any sort of Monster Hunter forum around the internet and realize how much trouble people have fighting Lunastra, especially in Master Rank, where it seems like her Supernova is basically just a guaranteed cart for someone in the party. It is just ridiculously hard to survive, even when you're in an optimal position to avoid it. Full health, weapon sheathed, there is still a chance that a fireball just spews from one fire to the next and so on and so forth until it hits you, and basically signs you up for a one-way ticket to Cartsville. Not to mention her ground fire straight up blocks ranged ammo when it's big, so, you know, as if it wasn't enough that her moveset itself is extremely dangerous, she's also incredibly resistant to a specific type of hunter, so there's that too. She has multiple abilities that just forcibly do damage to you that you can't really dodge as well because of heat damage. Personally, I don't think this quest is particularly unfair so much as it is just incredibly complex, and I still have a very specific place for this fight in my heart. And now that that's all of them done, I do notice that 4 of the top 5 have something pretty big in common. Area denial. Patches of some sort on the floor that make you unable to move freely throughout a zone. Now, sure, maybe that's a coincidence, or maybe that's just a fight mechanic that in general throughout the community is considered hard.
I'm hard as a fucking rock.
And now to show you the graph as a whole, everything filled in, there are a few interesting observations here. First, as far as the split goes, there was a few clear outliers at the top, to the point that the top 5 make up for just shy of 52% of the total votes. Then the next couple after that are sorta close, but after that it just totally develops into a mixing and matching of various smaller amounts of votes. Of note, Normal Rajang is actually 6th with 6.14% of the votes. And I have to wonder if this poll was taken before Furious Rajang came out, if those votes would be more in the same place. Like, would the Furious Rajang votes automatically go over to regular Rajang? I don't know. It's hard to be sure about that because it's in the past. But what I can tell you is that if this situation happened and all of the people who have voted for Furious Rajang instead had voted for regular Rajang instead, Rajang would actually have been in a dead tie for first with Lunastra.
Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Though there is also something here like Gajaleka, which is particularly interesting to me because I guess, like, technically speaking, they are small monsters, right? Therefore, because I didn't specify hardest large monsters, they are a totally viable answer to the question. Damn you pedantic people! Aside from there are obviously some joke responses. Like, I can totally believe that Great Jagras gets a serious vote from, like, one person somewhere, but he got a few. And the last thing I would like to point out is that Gerardus somehow made it onto this list. You know who isn't here? Safi Jiva. Not a single Safi Jiva vote. According to this list, and absolutely not taken out of context at all, you guys think that Giratodus is closer to being the hardest monster in the game than Safi Jiva is. What is wrong with you? I am offended. And that just about covers it for this list slash experiment slash whatever you'd really want to call it. To reiterate, for anyone who wants to take part in the vote for the next episode of this, the top 5 worst monsters in World/Iceborne, the link is in the description. And honestly, even if they don't watch our videos, feel free to share the link with anyone you think has an opinion on the matter. The more votes that we get in total, the more the list will reflect the feelings of the community as a whole. A larger sample size is simply more complete data. So let's work together on this and make it an actual source of really cool data. And don't forget to comment on this video with why you believe the worst monster is what they are, so I can use your opinions in the video. Okay, I've been Cotton Dinosaur, and this has been your list of the top 5 hardest monsters in Iceborne. Your list. Do you agree with the majority? Which list would you like us to revisit in this style next? Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. This is the brand new outro to tell you all the things that you do that we love, so let's start with something simple and say, oh, we love your eyes. When they're watching us play video games, we make a bunch of jokes that are kinda lame. Or when they gaze upon our failures as we try to kill the monsters or important news about the kingdom Animalia. Rage, Content, and Hollow are all here, talking about the things you want to hear. So if you want to be the first to hear, like and subscribe and the bell and we'll cheer. Some of you are patrons, even though we are all the noobs and you're the pros. There's nothing we can do to thank you. No, really, there's nothing we could possibly do. Goodbye.